We don't like to talk about finances. We don't like to discuss it with people. We spend so much and we don't really want to pay attention to it because no one wants to have it laid out that you're spending 25% of what you bring in on, eating out or on something that people would consider frivolous. Nobody wants to know that. And so it's easier if it's just out of your mind and the money's just going out. Sitting down and actually looking at those numbers, for me, that's the most important thing to get started, is having an honest conversation with yourself to see where you're at. And then look at that and say, okay, well, there are some things that I'm going to have to change. Look at what Greg has presented when it comes to the documents in the course and fill those documents out properly so that you know where you're at. Because then things open up and you can say, okay, well, I guess we can. Instead of eating out 4 times a week, we're going to eat out once. It's basically a marriage of sound financial principles with the proper mindset of being able to understand that it's not just about having lots of money, because you can have lots of money and still, for all intents and purposes, be poor. But you can also have less money and be wealthy. That's one of the most important parts about this course, is that there's accountability. There's accountability to Greg, there's accountability to yourself. Because as you move through the videos, you're going to be able to build on what you did in the last video. And you're going to be able to get to the point where you're holding yourself accountable for those numbers, and Greg's going to be holding you accountable for those numbers. We have these lofty thoughts. Well, in 10 years, I'm going to own a house, or I'm going to have a car collection, or whatever it is. But then when we look and we say, okay, well, if I want to accomplish that in 10 years, that means I have to start saving $100 a month right now. I think that fear is a major emotion when it comes to money. I think that most of us have, when we think of money, fear and panic are emotions that are connected to that. And if you can get rid of those emotions, then your relationship with money is going to change. And the only way you can get rid of those emotions is if you're no longer afraid and you're no longer panicking when you look at your money. And through this program, that's how you get there. Because freedom isn't about being afraid. Freedom is about being able to do what you want and look at the horizon and say, well, I'm going to go in this direction. And if you can do that financially, well, then there's no fear there anymore. There's no panic there anymore. But you can't get rid of those emotions unless you know what your situation is with your money.